Hello,
Howdy, folks.
welcome back. This is another reaction video from Red, White, and Otaku. They just released a new Godzilla Minus Zero trailer yesterday, or teaser, I suppose. It looks like we have a 30-second runtime. Not sure how much there will be to dig into, but we were both big fans of the previous movie, Godzilla Minus One, and we're really looking forward to this one, whatever it winds up being.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's press play and see what we got going here.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, so that is our teaser. Like I said, not ton to sorry, not a whole bunch to dig through there. Pretty limited and straightforward. Still more than we got in the last one, if I remember correctly. I don't think we had any dialogue there.
Yeah, especially it looks like nukes are being involved again. We can see that they're being dropped in the trailer.
Yeah, definitely some imagery from what was it? Fat Man and Little Boy, was that what their names?
I think so.
Or something like that. Um I'm curious if they are actually nuclear weapons. Let's see, what's the language they use? Um, Withstand even a thermonuclear strike. So that seems to imply that they attempted one and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not entirely convinced though. Before I go in though, do you have any theories or thoughts on that? Like,
Um, my guess is Godzilla showed up. They attempted maybe to use a nuclear strike on him. Maybe America did, and it just did not work against him. Because we know America's
yeah,
going to be involved in this film. We saw in the first teaser trailer the Statue of Liberty.
yeah, heavily implied. It looks like Godzilla will be going to the US. Godzilla takes Manhattan. Um, Something about minus one that really stood out to me was the overall lack of science fiction elements.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously, we had Godzilla, but aside from that, the methods of fighting Godzilla were surprisingly grounded. Um, there wasn't anything there that I don't think exists in reality or couldn't have existed in reality at that time. Not even your usual anachronisms you get in this kind of movie. But when I hear about another moral boundary mankind shouldn't cross in reference to Godzilla, the first thing that comes to mind to me is the oxygen destroyer.
Oh.
Yeah. For anyone in the audience who doesn't know, spoilers for primarily the original Godzilla from Gojira from 1954. Godzilla is destroyed with another weapon of mass destruction called the oxygen destroyer. It destroys all of the oxygen, mainly in a body of water, um, which they finally use to kill Godzilla. Just to clarify, I guess, the Godzilla from 1954 in those continuities is canonically dead. And past that point, usually what you're seeing is an entirely unrelated example of the species.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be a lot more science fiction-y than what the first movie did. But, it is Godzilla, so I'd say the door is open.
Well, the first teaser already had those weird flying rocks that the protagonist, what's his name, Shikishima, right?
It's been too long, maybe. Sure.
Well, the protagonist was flying around through them in the first teaser. There's like anti-gravity rocks and rubble flying everywhere. So I think this is already really going into the realm of wacky sci-fi stuff, you know?
I forgot about that. Do you think we can pull up? Why don't we just? That was really
Yeah.
smart. Like, why don't we pull up the first teaser and give that a look too? All right, let's give it a look. Right. So that's actually a bit longer than the new one. It gives a little bit more context.
Honestly, I kind of like the first teaser more than the second one.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's just a lot
Um,
more going on, a lot more theory crafting. But at the same time, I think the second one's more of a mood setter, you know?
yeah, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, the floating rocks to me look like they're based on the blue energy we have, look like they're a consequence of a field being created by Godzilla. Like maybe when he is charging up his energy beam to some catastrophic extent, that causes things near him or his dorsal fins to float potentially.
I could see that. Or, you know who else maybe has control over gravity?
Hit me.
Ghidorah.
I mean, maybe like I don't know what role Ghidorah played in this kind of movie.
Well, you gotta have a second monster for him in the fight. I mean, I'm hoping it's not Ghidorah, but I mean, I'm hoping maybe for like Anguirus, we do like a Godzilla Raids Again sort of thing, you know?
Anguirus would make more sense. I, based on the second teaser and everything, I'm kind of leaning towards there not being a second monster, unless that second monster is also Godzilla. Um,
Oh, maybe
yeah,
we get like a battle of the Zillas.
maybe. I mean, the first time I saw this teaser, one of my thoughts was that maybe that's not the main Godzilla who's going to America. Maybe there could be like multiple Godzillas across the planet, but multiple might just be two. But I could see that happening potentially.
Yeah, especially given his self-regeneration abilities, maybe like another Godzilla cell just branched off and started making a new Godzilla, while the other one was regenerating after being crushed in the first film.
Possible. I mean, they're also a species, right? I mean, before Godzilla was Godzilla, we saw in Godzilla Minus One that a Godzillasaurus, that was their name in the Heisei era at least, was alive on an island that was affected by nuclear testing. Like, presumably at some point there was a breeding population of them in that area, which could have been affected.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we haven't considered the fact that yeah, there's just a race of dinosaurs out there that probably got nuked to oblivion, or have all turned into giant monsters, and yeah, Godzilla was just the first of many.
It's possible. You aren't the first person I've heard raise the idea of Ghidorah, and he is kind of, Godzilla's main enemy. Uh, but I don't think it really makes sense to give Godzilla an enemy in a story where he's already a primary threat. And
Yeah.
Ghidorah is also just so big and wacky. It's kind of like in the third act of Netflix's Daredevil if Galactus attacked. It's just kind of outside the scope of the story.
Well, I know the director has mentioned in the past that he would like Godzilla to fight another monster, but I think maybe they're already doing sort of something like that with the theme park ride they're working on.
Uh huh.
Where he's fighting like a mecha Godzilla in the modern day. I don't think the theme park ride's canon.
Is the theme park ride related to the Minus movies, or is that like its own thing?
It's using the -1 Godzilla design, I know that.
Oh, sure. I mean, that's kind of the current one.
But other than that, I don't think it's related to the films at all.
Yeah, I would be surprised.
It's kind of like Transformers the ride over at Universal Studios. It's got the Transformers in it, but it's not canon. Should be. Had a better story.
I know that they've said that this Godzilla Minus Zero is supposed to be like the last one.
Oh, they have?
Um, yeah, I pulled it up on here. The Toho released a synopsis going with the second teaser. It reads, War reduced Japan to zero, and Godzilla plunged it into minus. 2 years have passed since then, and the country has faced agonizing struggles to achieve recovery and finally reclaim its daily life. Just as humanity managed to cling to a hard-won peace, a new threat strikes, crushing hope in an instant. There is no third time. Everything ends here.
Okay. Huh.
So yeah, they could be using poetic license there. They could just be describing how high the stakes are. But it would surprise me if this is the last we see of the minus continuity.
Yeah, I mean, what other numbers do you go besides like -0, like -1? Like that, wouldn't that make that a positive one? So it'd be like a positive film, like, maybe he'll turn into a good guy in the third.
Godzilla minus I square root of -1. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I mean, the trend of Toho Godzilla films since like 2000 has been self-contained continuities, one and done movies. Um, this is the first sequel we've gotten since Tokyo SOS, which I believe came out in. Yeah, and every other movie released in that decade by Toho in the Godzilla franchise was a one-off.
Hmm.
So the fact that minus one left such an impact that they wanted to do a sequel is already kind of remarkable.
Well, it was like the first Godzilla film to ever win an Oscar, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's true.
So I can see why they want to do a sequel. Me personally, I'm still kind of iffy on -1 having a sequel because I think -1 ended pretty well. But then they did put that sequel tease in right at the very end, which I would have preferred they just cut that off, but you know.
I can see that. I mean, it's not. I don't think you've seen this movie yet, but Shin Godzilla also ended with kind of a sequel hook, and that was in 2016, and that still hasn't been followed up on.
Right.
Um, but personally, I'm not against minus one getting a sequel. I think it was probably the only way we were getting another Godzilla movie from Toho soon. Um, and that alone is something to be celebrated for me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
And I'm just glad they're enthusiastic about the property again.
yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's just like for me personally, it's like it just how do you continue that story without making it seem what's the word for it?
Forest, cheap, and organic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's delicate, but it just kind of depends on the approach. The way it looks now is they have a chapter two that is meant to follow upon and expand the themes of the first movie. But it's also worth remembering that, the original Godzilla was very similar to Minus One in a lot of ways. It was also a pretty limited uh, human story with an interest in the cost of destruction and the scale of these beings. And that led into this whole franchise. Like everything we know about Godzilla kind of stems from there. And a lot of that stuff strayed pretty far from that original point. So if you did take minus one and you made a sequel about that Godzilla fighting Ghidorah or Hedorah or Destroya or whatever, I'm not sure if it would be good. That depends on the execution, but it would be in keeping with the character's history for sure.
Right.
We do have a little bit of other news from Toho on the Godzilla front, and this is from a few months ago. I don't know if you've heard, the viewer may have, but Toho announced something they're calling Godzilla World. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
All right. Despite the name, this is not a theme park. The way that Toho has phrased it, which will probably be confusing to American listeners, is just as Legendary has its MonsterVerse, we are currently progressing with plans to call ours Godzilla World. If we focus on creating original concepts, we might be able to keep this franchise going for another 50 years. This could mean forays into video games, streaming series, anime, and other formats.
So it's like,
This news, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so it's like Jason Universe.
It's like what?
Jason Universe, the Friday the 13th initiative.
I okay. That first I've heard of it.
Keep going.
No, what's the you've tell me at least generally what is the
Okay,
Jason
so the
universe?
Jason Universe initiative is to bring back the Friday the 13th brand while omitting parts of it due to copyright struggles. Not with
Mhm.
Godzilla so much with the copyright struggles with Jason. They're planning new movies, new games, new merchandise. It's like a big initiative. And this just sort of reminded me of that.
Actually, yeah, I think those two things are very comparable. It sounds like roughly the same idea. Um, what has confused a lot of American fans, though, is they compare it in their statement to MonsterVerse.
Hmm.
Um, and a MonsterVerse is a shared universe and like the Marvel DC model, where every movie kind of ties into other movies and builds up to big events and stuff. Um, that does not seem to be the actual plan. Uh, from Toho's perspective, I think it looks like the same thing because something I've kind of realized the scale of researching topics for this podcast is in Japan. Continuity is not a very big focus in media. Um, it is much more disposable over there than we usually consider it here in the West. So basically, yeah, Godzilla World is a marketing push where Toho is trying to put more money and energy and manpower into creating new Godzilla products that will, by virtue of being about Godzilla, reference and tie into each other. But that doesn't mean it will be a cohesive shared universe the way Legendary's MonsterVerse is.
Okay. I mean, as long as we get more Godzilla movies and games, I'll take that.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I think it'd be really cool if we did get a bit of a return to Toho's golden period, where you had movies just about Rodan or Mothra, for example, um, that would later be a part of ongoing stories featuring or not featuring Godzilla. I don't think that they should hang their hat on it the way that Marvel Studios or DC Studios tends to. But you know, I do kind of miss those. The crossover days were fun when every other monster wasn't just a supporting character for Godzilla stories who may be used twice a decade if we're lucky.
Yeah. Um, Makes me think about Kong getting his own film with Skull Island before being more formally into the MonsterVerse, and make me wish we maybe had other supporting films like what you're talking about too, instead of
Yeah, like
just
yeah.
jumping right into Godzilla versus Kong and stuff.
I mean, jumping right into it was one thing. Like, okay, guys, just to remind you, this is not an episode of Red, White, and Otaku. This is just us kind of talking off the cuff. So if you want our reactions to other things we're going to cover to be a surprise, you might not want to put too much heat on this because I'm going off of what I remember from years ago. I haven't watched these movies in a while. Um, but Godzilla versus Kong was fine. I didn't mind them doing it when they did, even if I had criticisms of it as a movie. But the fact that's become what the MonsterVerse is, that we're getting three Godzilla Kong crossovers back to back, it doesn't feel like much of a verse, does it?
No, especially since King of the Monsters introduced like Rodan. Where's Rodan been? Or where's all the other monsters at the end of that film been? Why aren't they getting their own movies?
Yeah.
Or at the very least, show up more in the Apple TV show. I don't know.
Have you watched the Apple TV show?
I have not, but I hear it's decent. It's
Neither have I. I've also heard that.
I think it got nominated for like an Emmy or an Oscar or something.
Yeah. We should probably like get that on DVD before like Apple TV deletes it for some reason, so we can cover it for the podcast.
Oh,
I don't know why. Maybe it's just with everything else going on with physical media right now or non-physical media, but I just I see it over the hilltop, you know?
yeah, no, I've been scrambling to get as much physical media as I can.
But yeah, I don't know. To get us back on topic a little bit, the teaser didn't show us much, but what we've seen, the movie looks really good. I'm a little bit surprised we don't have much more to go on since this comes out in November, but that's fine. If we go see this movie totally blind, cool. Like I'm excited either way.
Yeah, they're really keeping their cards close to their chest with this one. Like, we've seen some crazy looking stuff, but at the same time, we don't know anything yet about what the story is actually going to be besides Godzuki's in America messing shit up.
Yeah. I mean, they made this pretty quickly. Okay, I guess minus one came out in 23 at time, I felt like this came out last year. Uh, so it wasn't quite as fast a turnaround as I thought.
I mean, for a
But
Toho Godzilla film, it feels pretty fast.
yeah, I mean, they may not have the visual effects finished up enough that they want to show them off yet. So that might be part of why we've seen so little. But yeah, I'm excited. Anything you wanted to add about this?
Nothing much besides the fact that, like I said, besides my little gripes about it getting a sequel, I am excited for this. I am looking forward to it. Um, More Godzilla is always a good thing. Minus one, I mean, it almost had me crying a couple times, so I'm
Mhm.
hoping for more emotional gut punches and giant lizard shenanigans.
Well, that'll be fun. We'll probably talk about it again closer to it actually coming out. So for everybody who clicked on, thanks for watching and listening with us, and we hope we'll see you for the next one.
Take care, everyone.